language as I do, but in your own language, you do? If you do, you might find that is actually very kind and nice to do at the end of the year, to give everybody a good feeling and to send our best wishes to everybody. Now, there is a meaning to giving blessings in Buddhism, so let's take a look at that for a moment. This is an example of an Irish blessing. They are actually translated from Irish. May your troubles be less and your blessings be more, and nothing but happiness comes through your door. In Thai language, there's also a lot of blessings that have a very good resonance to it. If you listen to it, you feel like it's very poetic, and it sounds very good. And there's a deep meaning often. There's an ancient tradition of giving blessings in Buddhism, and let's talk about that. Blessing is usually to bestow good of any kind upon somebody, usually in speech or writing. It is actually not necessarily religious. So in Thailand, for example, people give blessings on the Thai New Year also, not only on the Western New Year, perhaps even more so in the Thai New Year. Thai New Year, when is that? Anybody knows? Also known as the Water Festival. And during that time, people will sometimes come together to ask for a blessing from their elders, like the people in this picture. I mean, the cartoon figures in this picture. And they will sit on their knees and ask for a blessing, and they sometimes will pour water on the hands of their elders. Now, you might find it strange at this time of the year, if you go to your elders or to your people who are older than you and you pour water on their hands, they might not appreciate that much. But the same idea applies here as we do with the New Year in the West, that you give a blessing to another person. So the younger person asks the older person for their forgiveness at the beginning of the new year in Thailand. And then the older person gives a blessing. This is how it works. Blessings may be given at special occasions like a birthday, childbirth, wedding, New Year. This is universal. It's actually very widespread to give a blessing during this time of the year. Even many greetings, especially in the West, there's many greetings that are actually blessings in disguise, or blessings that we are not aware of, like good afternoon, good night, or see you later is actually also a blessing because you want to see somebody later and you hope that nothing happens to them. So these are all small blessings which we use in our conversation. They're actually Western customs. The custom is not universal as often is misunderstood. In Thailand, for example, there was not such a custom of saying good afternoon or good day until Western people started doing it. And so Thai people had to do it as well. But it's traditionally a Western custom to do so. But why do we do it? Well, we first have to talk about what is not giving a blessing. Not giving a blessing is not just good manners. It's not to forswear something. So in the time of the Buddha, when the Buddha actually sneezed one day, so that's a thing, the Buddha actually sneezed at a certain point. The Buddha was a human being, but we accept him in Buddhism as a very enlightened, very wise being. But he did sneeze at some point. And then the monks then said to him, bless you. Or they actually said something along the lines of, may you have a long life. Then the Buddha said, would that really help? If I sneeze and you say long life, will that really help? And they said, no, well, then don't do it. It's of no use. So this is not what we do in blessing. We don't forswear something. When something bad happens, then we try to forswear it by saying something else or something like that. When somebody looks ill, then we start to say something good to them. It doesn't work like that. It also is not the same as swearing on somebody or something. I swear upon my mother or father. That's not a good thing. Don't do that. So what is blessing in Buddhism? First of all, there's a truth to it. Always when we give a blessing in Buddhism, we start off with something that is true. We call this Satya Kiriya or Satya Vaca, which means an act or speech based on truth. And the first thing that comes to mind in a traditional example is the truth of the awakening of the Buddha. The Buddha really became awakened. By this truth, may you be happy. That is a very traditional way to say a Buddhist blessing. Or you might say, you might point out the truth of something good that you have done. Throughout my life, I've always been honest to you, my dear, or something like that. You might say to your partner. And by this, may you find happiness and prosperity in your life. You might also point out the truth of the good deeds of the recipient. For example, as monks, we often do this. People give us food and we point out that by this, the goodness, by the truth that you have given us good food today and you give enough strength and also happiness, health, and a good, healthy appearance. You've given all these things with this little bit of food. May all these things come back to you as well. This is like a traditional Buddhist blessing. The whole most famous example of an act of truth or a word of truth, like I mentioned, speech of truth, is a little bird. You can actually see it is depicted here in a very ancient monument in India. This story is depicted, and there's a modern interpretation of it here. In this case, there was a fire in the forest, and there was a bird. It was a partridge. Do you have partridges in the USA? You do? Okay. I think we have them a little less in the West, in Europe these days, but. And so this fire, it starts to spread all over the forest. And the bird is afraid that his family might be lost. So he then makes a truth statement. He says, there is truth, there is compassion, there is purity of life in this world. Thereby, by the power of these facts, I'll work a matchless act of truth. So this is the same word again as I mentioned before, Satya Kiriya. Remembering faith's might and taking thought on those who triumphed in the days gone by. Strong in the truth, an act of truth I wrought. So with that, the bird says that he remembers the strength of the Buddha's teachings. So this bird had some connection with the Buddha's teaching. And taking thought of those who triumphed in the days gone by means that he thought of all the good things that the Buddha had done in the past. So this is a very religious example. Of course, there are maybe more examples more closer to home. But most of these examples in the Buddhist text tend to be a bit extraordinary. But they are not always holy people. There was one case, there was a prostitute who, the story goes, was able to say something and made the river Ganges, the Ganges River in India, turn its direction. Her name was Bindumati. And at that time, it was the time of the Emperor Asoka. And the Emperor Asoka asked, what did Bindumati say? How could a prostitute have any goodness to her that she could say such a thing and make the water turn its tide, turn its direction? And then Bindumati said, I do not have maybe much goodness to me. I'm just a simple prostitute. But when I am a prostitute, I do not despise any of my customers. I have an equal mind to everyone, whether rich or poor. So this is my goodness. And I do not deny that I am a prostitute. So even a simple woman, but still had some goodness. And by that goodness, the story goes, she was able to turn the river Ganges. So this is a story of, these are miraculous stories, but they show the idea of basing your words on truth, and by that giving a blessing. The famous example, the most famous example, maybe even more famous than Bindumati and the partridge, is the example of the monk Angulimala. In Thai language, we call him Onguliman. Onguliman. He's a very famous figure. In India, they made 2 movies about him. In Thailand, they made one. It was pretty popular at the time, back in the 90s, I think. And this figure used to be a serial killer. Used to be like a brigand. What do you call it? A brigand? Brigand is an old word. Like a sort of serial killer, half thief. And he killed people. There was a long story to that, but I won't go into detail. But the point is, he killed a lot of people. He had been a very bad person. But then he met the Buddha, and the Buddha told him to change his life. And there were some famous words that the Buddha said. And then Angulimala changed his life from being a killer. He changed into a peaceful monk. But the people did not accept him as such, because they had seen how much evil he had done. They couldn't forgive him as the Buddha had done. They couldn't follow the example of the Buddha in this respect. So Angulimala complained, and the Buddha said, well, if you want them to recognize you as a monk, go to this pregnant woman. She's having problems delivering the baby, giving the baby, bringing the baby in the world. She's gonna have a lot of health problems. She might die. You should go to her and say a truth, and it will help her heal. This will help her heal. It will help her give strength. You should tell her that you used to be, that you have never killed any living being since you were born. And then Angulimala, he objected. He said to the Buddha, I have killed a lot of people. I cannot say these things. And the Buddha said, but you have not listened to me. You have not killed a living being from the time you were reborn into the monk's life as a noble person. And so he said those words, which was true. Since he was a monk, even though he had been such a cruel person before, he had completely changed his life, and he had not even killed a single insect. And when the woman who was giving, he was giving a baby, he was giving childbirth, heard this story of Angulimala, she was so inspired by his words that those words somehow helped her. By the strength of those words, she was able to deliver the baby. And up to the present day, the words of Angulimala are chanted as a blessing in many countries, in many Buddhist countries in the world. Yatohang pakini jato napichanami sanchichapanang jivita voropeta tena satjena soti te hotu soti kampasa. Sister, since I was born, so he called her sister, the pregnant woman, with the noble birth, I do not recall that I have ever intentionally deprived a living being of life. By this truth, may you be well, and may your infant be well. So this is a very old passage in the Buddhist text, and it's still used as a blessing today. Just in case anyone may be in the audience who is pregnant. So the monks still use this today, and it shows the power of truth and giving a kind message to another person. Another example of giving a blessing, I already mentioned this one before. When people give food to monks, they will say things like this: to him who practices respectful salutation, constantly respecting his elders, four things increase: age, beauty, happiness, and strength. In other words, whatever goodness you have given to me by this food, giving strength to me, may you also receive this strength. So when the Buddhist monks give a blessing, they will call upon the powers of the Buddha, his teaching, and his community. But they also make you aware of the impact of your good deeds in your life. So blessings should help us. They should be about things that help us in the good life. When you give your own blessing with the new year, there's 3 tips from a Buddhist perspective. First of all, make your own resolution first. Think about the good things that you've done, the truths that you have done, and whatever you wish to accomplish in your life. And then speak your wish to the other person, what you wish them to become, what will really help them in the good, spiritual, and wise life. And then maybe if it's a younger person or a child or somebody who would like to listen to your advice, you may give them some advice, but it should be an advice that you also live by. In other words, blessing isn't just an empty custom. It is not just a religious thing either. It is a way to practice loving kindness, as we just did at the end of the meditation. And we can do it with a good mental intention, connected with the good spiritual and moral life. So these are some thoughts at the end of this program. And maybe I can finish with this nice Irish blessing. May your joys be as deep as the oceans, your troubles as light as its foam. May you find sweet peace of mind wherever you may roam. Are there any questions today before we finish? You might want to ask a question in the chat box or by switching on your video. Meanwhile, while you were thinking of a question, I have a little announcement to make, if I may be so bold. On 7 January, which is a few days from now, that is actually next week, Friday, I will be giving a giving a guided meditation in English on the application called Clubhouse. This is the word, the meaning, the application. You can see it in the chat box, Clubhouse. And this is an app which is apparently becoming more popular. It has no visuals, but it is just audio. And there's a link. I'm just going to send it to you. It will be at 4 o'clock Central European time. I don't know what time that is in your country. You have to look that one up. So this is the link, and this is the time for 4 p.m. Central European time. So you can look that one up, and usually Google will tell you what time it is in your country. So that is next Friday. And if there are no more questions, then I would like to give the floor back to Miss Panda or Miss Prel. Which one is it? Start with
Panda.
Yeah, I know, but I wasn't sure which one was going to end.
Me, okay.
Okay.
Hi, Ka. Thank you so much, Ka. We really appreciate your lesson today. And I think it's very knowledgeable for all of us today about the meaning of like the blazing in Pali and also translating to Thai into English, so we can understand what the meanings when venerables like give us blessings. So thank you so much for that. ขอบคุณค่ะ ขอบคุณค่ะ So anyone, do you have any questions or you would like to share anything regarding the topics or anything that you would like to share in your opinions during this free session that we can chit chat? Mr. Shay, do you want to say something? Maybe just say hi.
Yeah, I was downloading the Clubhouse and yeah, it is good. I will join the session on January the 7th. Thank you for the information.
Good. You're welcome.
Thank you, Ka, Mr. J. I hope we'll see you again next session. Ka, thank you for joining us today and everyone as well. Yeah, Miss April, January 7th. All right. Nong Panya and Nong Priyo, do you want to say something before we end our session today?
สาธุค่ะหลวงพี่ Happy New Year
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much ค่ะหลวงพี่ I really enjoy the meditation and the teaching tonight.
Good. You're welcome.
Happy New Year ค่ะ
Thank you.
How about Mr. Mickey? I see you there. Please turn on your microphone.
In regards to meditation practice, how do I maintain brightness? Like I see a tiny dot, but I don't know how to maintain it. Or do I have to like not worry about it?
How do you feel when you see the tiny dot?
It's either a dot comes in, I see a dot, or sometimes I don't think of anything and then a dot comes.
Do you see it at the center?
I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Okay, just bring it to the center.
Okay.
It's good. It indicates that you are very calm. That's good. So the light will become bigger when you become calmer. And when your mind becomes more stable, the light will grow. There's a light like this in every one of us, but we just haven't been able to see it so much. No, that's good. That's good. That's a good practice. Just bring it to the center. And if it doesn't want to come to the center, just let it wait outside and it will maybe walk in after a while.
Okay. Thank you. Satu.
Thank you for your questions, Mr. Mickey. Actually, I don't feel anything when I practice meditation. I feel just like emptiness. And I feel so happy to practice meditation. Just like, I feel nothing. Like I'm on the space or something, I don't know. But I feel nothing when I practice meditation. Just only like, I feel happiness inside myself and like, nothing comes, no pictures or anything. But I feel happy to
just be at the center. Feel the connection. That's good. There may be images or not, but we are still the same.
Thank you, Carol and Venerable Sander, for being our guest speaker today and also meditation teaching monk. Thank you so much. And I think it's a good time that we will take a group photo together. If you don't feel uncomfortable, I would like everyone to turn on your camera. Then we can take a group photo together. Because today I think it is our last session for this year. I'm not sure, so we'll meet each other again next year. Okay. All right, thank you, Miss Kathleen, Miss Leonard, and Mr. J. Thank you for turning on your camera. All right, we will put our palms together like this. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining our session today. I hope you have a great time, and I think you had a very good time with Christmas festival, and also I hope you will have a very, very good time, wonderful day with Happy New Year, and how it's approaching already. So Happy New Year, everyone, and we'll see you again next week. Bye. Thank you, Mr.
Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody.
All right, we'll pay respect to our Venerable Sander together. Bow, bow, bow.
May you find happiness and well-being for the next year. May all your good wishes be fulfilled. May you find the meaning of blessing in your life for yourself and others. Sadhu.
สาธุค่ะ Thank you everyone. We hope to see you again next session. Take care ค่ะ Bye bye.
อนุโมทนาบุญพี่แพนด้าค่ะ
สาธุค่ะขอบคุณครับทุกคนนะคะ Thank you so much everyone. Bye bye. Take care. Good night.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Kathleen.